So it's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I was talking with Winke months back already about how all that data that is stored into IoT platforms and IoT backends is just sitting there. And wouldn't it be amazing if you have much more use of that information? In the past, so when I started in IoT, everything was still siloed, and we're working with siloed applications, and that surprised me. There's cameras everywhere, there's sensors everywhere. Why don't we utilize that data in a much smarter way, where we open up access to that information? And much later on, I got involved into the iSHARE framework and the iSHARE Foundation, and that is basically bringing my old life in IoT and, well, the new life in how to utilize data much more together. Who of you here has heard about the Data Governance Act, European legislation on how to utilize data? One? Only, oh, well, a few. So what you see happening at the moment is that also from a European perspective, the use of data, and especially the ownership of data, is becoming more and more important. And the European Commission is really driving that organizations that use third-party software can actually control what's happening with the data that is stored there. And of course, in IoT, that is exactly the same situation. You use existing software already. Your data is stored there at third parties. But now you need to have a way to bring that data and utilize that data and get much more value out of it. Not only monetarily, but also just use it. And of course, I had a great slide deck to explain that, but I'll just continue with the baseline. So my name is indeed Gerard. I've been the director of the foundation for a while. And why I'm so passionate about what we're doing with that foundation is set up originally by the Dutch government to get more use out of data that is out there in transportation. So all the sensor data that's happening in trucks, wouldn't it be great if we can utilize that to have more efficient work and more efficient use of infrastructure, like roads, waterways, highways? And the original idea, let's set up a new platform, and let's put all that data, all classified information from all truckers together into one platform. And all the truckers said, well, no way, that is my sensitive set of information. Then you know where I am in the world, what I'm doing with that. And that led to the development of the iSHARE framework. And that framework allows any business that has data stored somewhere to validate and authorize others to access that information, other businesses, but then in a very secure and trusted way. And the framework in that enables that full transaction covering the full legal interaction of between businesses. And why I'm so passionate about this is really giving the control back to every business. We can now finally start to use information and data in a much smarter way. You can start to authorize others to, the location of your truck, the details of your building, just for a very short period, because you want to work with them for a bit, and then retract that access. Not in a technical way, not in a commercial way, but in a legally covered way where you can use that immediately and retract that information as well at the same time. This way of doing that in a fully distributed way is really the ultimate way to get started with your digital twin and get that going. Thanks, Monse, to get that sorted. So that's the core thing. Your digital twin, you decide and you control. So, of course, I got through the slide deck already a bit, so I'm just moving forward. So the whole point is, let's start to utilize all that sensor data a lot better. And I've been involved in IoT for a long time, and of course, one of the key things still is you have sensors everywhere, and there's that application server. So iSHARE framework allows you to have distributed control on all your data sets, on everything that's happening with your data, and finally put that data to work. We're all looking at what's happening with AI. We're all looking at how can we use those algorithms more. But currently, those algorithms run away with your data because they have it, and you can't really control what's happening. So you need to have something that can control technically, but also legally, what is happening with that data. So you can finally put those algorithms to work on the sensors that you have all over the world, controlling what your business is doing at the moment. So that's where the iSHARE framework is basically an interface standard and a legal layer for every form of transaction that you want to have. But of course, you need trust for that. So you need to be able to validate, okay, I'm going to share that with another organization. Say, I'm going to share my information with, well, the Things Industries. Then I need to be able to check if the Things Industries is actually a legal company and is an existing organization. The framework enables, through a very simple structure, which is totally decentralized, that organizations get sort of a data sharing driver's license. That driver's license is given out by identity providers or ecosystem drivers, or maybe even by well, I don't know if you know the term data spaces, but so ecosystems can basically control that completely. But the second part you need to have assured is that if you share that data, if I'm sharing my data with the Things Industries, I want to have assurance that there's legal coverage, so that they're not running away with my information and they're not doing anything else than I allow them to do. And last but not least, I want to have technical assurance. So are those guys actually handling my data with care and with the right credentials and with the right certificates? Well, that's the one side of the framework. And currently, with the Dutch government and the Belgian government and the Austrian government and the Finnish government really rolling out the iSHARE framework in, for instance, the energy sector, it's being rolled out to every business in those countries. Every business will get that data sharing driver's license so they can interact with others in the same way. And with that, we enable those data rights holders, the owners of information that is somewhere at a platform, to fully control that across a big ecosystem. And control in detail what you want to share. So it's not I'm giving you access to an API and you can read everything that's there. The framework enables you to say, I'm going to give you access to this attribute for this period in a very short time, but I want to have these assurances. And being able to do that, fully distributed in an endless amount of ecosystems, is really, well, mind-blowing, because you can do so much stuff how to start to use that data. You can start sharing data with other parties in a totally different industries without having bespoke integrations, without having bespoke connections and exchanges of tokens and having security issues, because the framework and all the players that enable that framework in the end just build that and create that. So how does this really work, and how can it work for, well, for players in the IoT world and all here? So it all starts with that data. You have the data source, the data provider, that is the backend of your IoT systems. And you need to have, well, you have a data consumer. You want to share that information with another party that you actually work with. The structure, how to do this in a fully federated way without a central platform, because that is, of course, a standard. You usually start with, let's put it all on a single platform. This structure enables you to actually exchange data without that central platform, but with trust. So you need to have assurance on the different organizations, which is available in the ecosystem. You need to have assurance that the data rights holder actually gave someone access. And you have assurance of the identity of that organization. And this is how that framework is running. So, well, with thousands and thousands of organizations in the network already, we're enabling every business to stay in control of their data, but at the same time utilize what is there already. And with that, enable the use of that digital twin, all that information from sensors that you're currently working on, to finally get to life. So this might be completely unclear or completely clear. Maybe completely unclear? No, that's good. So what I wanted to share today is that there is a great way to start utilizing your data in a lot more ways than you can think of, without hardwired connections, without rethinking deep integrations. In this new world, we call that data spaces, where data spaces are basically data ecosystems that work together with the same data. And what I wanted to give you is some more documentation on how that works. So I've been writing a data spaces cookbook. I'm a barbecue fanatic, so I thought, why not make it as simple as just cooking a recipe? So in the cookbook, you can read more about how does that work? How does that federation principle work? What is federation? How do you do data exchange without having hard integrations? And for a lot of coders and software builders, it's usually a bit strange to get the concept because you don't trust on your own platform, you trust on federated identities, you trust on other elements, and you allow your client to authorize others that you don't even know. But that structure, if you get that, that is really changing how we are going to work with IoT data and how we're going to utilize that information that we have already. And it's really going to change how we work with IoT sensors. Why do we have multiple cameras pointing at the same spot if you can start to share that access to that same information stream under your control with others? I think this is the ultimate way to get much more value out of IoT, and that's what I wanted to share today, and trigger everybody to have a look, have a try. If you want to have more information, join our Slack. iSHARE Foundation is a Dutch foundation, but we're fully international. We're covered. We have live data ecosystems in, I think, over 16 countries. So we are fully international and can help you to get this going and work with all the opportunities that your data is not exposing today. So that's what I wanted to give you. Demo is for later on if you want to get more details.